And then it was just one race remains. After an incredible 16 rounds, we have reached round 16 here at the Autodromo Jose Carlos Pache. It is now all about the title decider. Hamilton comes into this race 12 points. Now, here's how he can win the championship. He just needs to stay in the podium or finish third. If he finishes fourth or fifth, Charles Leclerc is world champion. Now, if Leclerc wins and if Hamilton finishes fourth or fifth, he is world champion. Ferrari can win the title if they get that one bonus point. They need to outscore Red Bull by 70 points and Mercedes by 94 points. But here we go. It is the title decider, the final race here in Sao Paulo. We are here at the Autodromo Jose Carlos Pache, round 16. We have went from round 1 in Canada all the way here to round 16 in Brazil. It is now all about what these drivers can do in the final race before they go into the winter break. But we have the two DRS, the three sectors. Top speed's about 217 miles per hour, 350 kilometers per hour, and the elevation change is about 43 meters. We have 15 turns. And now here's a look at the Pirelli tires. Nice and dry, no rain expected for today's season finale and title decider here in Sao Paulo. But here's a look at the tires. The Pirelli have brought the soft C4s, the medium C3, and the hard C2. Of course, Charles Leclerc starting on hards, Hamilton on, the soft compound tire. But now here's a look at the starting grid for one more time and the title decider. And right at the back is going to be Gabriel Bortoleto in the Sauber. He started P20 with Alex Albon in 19 for Williams. Of course, that's a battle for P9 in the constructors. Isaac Hadjar out in Q1 for the first time since, I believe, round 3 with Nico Hulkenberg in P17. Fernando Alonso lining up 16th, and Oscar Piastri lines up in 15th. So McLaren didn't get the second car in. Carlos Sainz has reached back-to-back Q2s and starts 14th. Max Verstappen out in Q2. That's crucial. Max, of course, Mercedes and Red Bull fight for P2. Then it's Pierre Gasly in the Alpine in 11th or 12th, and Esteban Ocon in P11. Then it's Yuki Tsunoda P10, not where he wants to start in terms of the championship. Then it's Ollie Behrman in P9 for Haas. Then it's Lance Stroll in P8 with George Russell lining up in 7th. So Mercedes having the advantage over Red Bull. Then, how about this advantage? Liam Lawson in 30th or in P6 for Racing Bulls, and Franco Colapinto P5 for Alpine. So they get the advantage over Haas and Aston Martin. Lando Norris lines up 4th, championship leader of Lewis Hamilton 3rd, and the front row is Andrea Kimi Antonelli and Charles Leclerc on pole. Leclerc just needs to make sure Hamilton finishes 4th or 5th. And here's a look at the battle in the midfield. Haas leads Racing Bulls by 10 points, Aston Martin by 53, and Alpine by 66. Of course, Sauber and Williams are out of it, so they only find P9 and P10. They're 107 back and 115 back. We've been waiting for this all season long. The finale, the title decider here in Sao Paulo. And it's lights out, away we go. And Leclerc gets massive wheel spin. Kimi Antonelli takes the lead. Lewis Hamilton falls to 4th, now to 5th. Charles Leclerc had massive wheel spin on the start there. And Kimi Antonelli takes the lead, but Charles Leclerc regaining the position. And he's going to regain the lead within one corner.
Yeah, that was not a good start there for Lewis Hamilton, but the big losers also going there. The Racing Bulls and the Alpine. Oh, and Charles Leclerc goes wide through theCia del Lago. Unbelievable, Charles Leclerc just ran wide. He cannot make those mistakes. That's the second time in a race where he's made a mistake. But the big losers go to Hamilton, Colapinto, and Liam Lawson, knowing that Racing Bulls and Alpine have got to stay ahead of Haas to get P5, and Hamilton had to get ahead of Charles Leclerc to win the Drivers' Championship. But it looks like he may now have to settle for 5th. But everything can happen within a virtual safety car or a full safety car. We'll see as Charles Leclerc now works through Jungstau and up through the uphill section.
Right, Charles Leclerc now works his way through Jungstau and up through the uphill section. And here's a look now at the Drivers' Championship. It's now a 3-point separate Charles Leclerc and Hamilton for the championship. As now Charles Leclerc comes across the line, gets the fastest lap, and now 4 points because he has the fastest lap as he works through the center S's. And let's talk about these sentences. That is one corner that is so special because it remembers of our great Brazilian driver and Formula One four-time world champion of Ayrton Senna. So that's why the Senna has always been honored. But now, with that extra point, Charles Leclerc, or with that extra point, Ferrari would clinch are now 2025 World Constructors Champions, and it's make more history. They got their 17th last year. It's an 18th this year. If Charles Leclerc can just hold on for the next 9 laps and the fastest lap, Ferrari are Constructors Champions for an 18th time. But at the moment, they are Constructors Champions by outscoring Red Bull by 70 points and Mercedes by 94 points. So now that's just a battle for P2 between Red Bull and Mercedes. And Mercedes are, look at that, Mercedes are just 2 points behind Red Bull in the Constructors Championship because Verstappen is struggling out there. So Red Bull still holds second, but only by 2 points. Mercedes still have 2 cars in the top 10, but Red Bull need to get 2 to hang on to P2. But man, that's real close between Red Bull and Mercedes. Of course, you know, they're fought from 2021 and the Constructors and Drivers Championship when it came to Verstappen and Lewis Hamilton, as now Charles Leclerc works to the TSUNODA Lago, as he now has about a 9.30 second lead, a 10.3 second lead now. What a dominant race is going to be for Charles Leclerc. If he can just hang on, he is champion of the world. But if he's DNF in this race, it's Lewis Hamilton. But if Hamilton DNFs, it's Yuki Tsunoda who become world champion.
Whoa, Max Verstappen goes wide and goes off the track. Verstappen losing 13, 14, 15, then 16. Drops down to P16. He got a big stuff of understeer. And what a save. But had a crazy run through the grass. Now comes back on and P18.
It's been that kind of year for Max Verstappen. I mean, with Red Bull, we thought they would come into this race, you know, fighting with Ferrari in terms of both their drivers and constructors, but they just had no pace. No one can, you know, stop Ferrari at their dominance so far this season. McLaren, Mercedes have all won, with Yuki Tsunoda winning his home race. And Max Verstappen this season has gone winless since 2015 when he used to drive for Toro Rosso. That's the last time Verstappen went winless, and it could happen again today where Max Verstappen goes winless in Red Bull. He already knows he's back at Red Bull until 2028, but will that all change as Liam Lawson now comes into the pits on lap 4? But it's been that kind of year for Max Verstappen in terms of the struggles of Red Bull. Gasly also comes into the pits. Charles Leclerc, 13.9 second of advantage in the lead. Battery about halfway, using half the brake. Oh, as you see, he just jumps the curb a little bit. But Jesse, it's just been that kind of year for Max Verstappen. I mean, he has struggled in that road from round 1 in Canada to, you know, to round 2, round 3, basically round 4 to this round of the World Championship. He's been in Q3, I want to say 4 times. It's been out in Q1 and Q2 by only 4 times. So Verstappen has really struggled in that Red Bull. And we thought, you know, Tsunoda would struggle also in the Red Bull. He's been outperforming and out, you know, pacing and qualifying his team of Max Verstappen. He's ahead of him in the Drivers' Championship. As now Charles Leclerc comes into the pits, and it looks like it's going to be a set of soft tires.
Yeah, they're putting a set of they're putting a set of softs for Charles Leclerc. They overload the medium tires because the mediums have struggled here in the past for Ferrari and basically Charles. But what a blistering pit stop for Ferrari. 1.1 second pit stop. That is a fast pit stop. Angelelli comes in behind Charles Leclerc as well.
So staying out is Lance Stroll and Lewis Hamilton and Behrman and Colin Pinto. Alonso comes into the pits, and Charles Leclerc is going to lose at least a couple of spots. Now Hamilton regains the lead, and at the moment will become a world champion. But we know Charles Leclerc is on a set of soft tires and is going to be flying through these cars. He's got to get around Colin Pinto and Behrman to, you know, make sure he stays behind Lewis Hamilton. He's gaining on Colin Pinto. It's going to be a real close fight between Hamilton, Behrman, and Colin Pinto. Here comes Charles Leclerc now. He's going for it. He does. Charles Leclerc goes over the bumps and jumps to the curb and gets past Franco Colapinto. But even that bus gets past Behrman. Behrman almost put Charles Leclerc on the wall. And that was almost a race-ending crash for Charles Leclerc, but he had to back right out of it and still has to back out of it. Meanwhile, there's a crash up through the junk side of the uphill. It's Lando Norris. Lando Norris has crashed, but there's no safety car. That is controversial. No safety car. And here comes Hamilton. He sees him. And he dives into the pits. Whoa! What is that? Why has there no been safety car? That is extremely dangerous there. Lando Norris is stuck uphill. That is extremely dangerous. This is going to be a controversial moment after the race.
Robo, do you have anything in the pit lane on why there's no safety car? I'm telling you right now, the teams and Jars are literally screaming for a safety car red flag because that was extremely dangerous.
Yeah, I got reports that the FIA are not throwing out a safety car red flag. They're going at this race because they don't want to have a 2021 all over again. But I think having a red flag is just, better than a safety car. But yeah, the FIA just told me that we're not going to get a safety car or a red flag because it doesn't be 2021 all over again with the Verstappen and Hamilton a couple of years ago.
I mean, me being a commentator for, the past, couple of years now, that's ridiculous. I think we should get a safety car because that's extremely dangerous. Lando Norris is stuck on the track, but I've been doing this. I've been commentating for the past, 4 to 2 years now, and I've seen worse than that. Like I've commentated NASCAR before, even MotoGP and IndyCar and himself, but me doing this in Formula One, I've never seen this before, and it's still Lando Norris is still there, and Charles Leclerc had to get out of the gas and not run into the back of Lance Stroll. He's gonna retake the lead and regain the championship lead. But this is just something like I've been, doing this for 5 to 6 years in NASCAR, MotoGP, and IMSA, and I've been commentating for Formula One for the past 3 years now, and I can't believe that we're not getting a safety car. This is extremely controversial. We should have at least got a safety car, red flag in this race, Jesse, because this cannot go on. So hopefully, in next year, we don't have to have the same problem in a great championship fight. But yeah, I mean, I've been doing this for 7 years, and it's just unacceptable, to be honest.
Yeah, I really hope we do get some sort of regulation change for next year. But we also saw in the pins was Colin Pinto, Science, and Alex Hamilton. And like you said, Lance Stroll also the pins. But yes, we should definitely have some sort of regulation change about if a car spins, they should be disqualified, or a safety car, or a red flag. But I really hope we do get some sort of regulation changes for next year because that's just unacceptable from the FIA to the whole of Formula One. It's bad for the fans and for the drivers too because it's dangerous, and you can see Lando is still there.
Yeah, I mean, extremely unacceptable from the FIA, but I'm pretty sure we'll get some regulation changes for new rules. But now with just 3 laps to go, as we refocus on the race, Behrman now comes into the pits. Isaac Hadjar runs third. Ocon second. Max Verstappen now comes into the pits. Nico Hulkenberg also comes into the pits to serve their pit stops. But now it's going to be Ocon and Isaac Hadjar that needs to come into the pits. But at the moment, Charles Leclerc would become world champion for the first time this season. And it was announced earlier today that Dhabi, Japan would become round 2 and round 3, and Sao Paulo is going to be returning for the championship once again. Of course, Canada would still be hosting round 1 for next year. But you never know if they could change for next year as well. So we'll have this probably scheduled out sometime after this race or pretty soon. But we're getting coming up on 2 laps to go. What a season it's been. Like I talked about, after even though this is probably round 16 that we didn't want to have controversial with Lando Norris stopped on the track. I mean, you could just see Charles just having to avoid Norris's stopped McLaren on the track. But what a season has been from to the lightning out at round 1 in Canada earlier this year to Hamilton and Leclerc colliding in Silverstone, to Leclerc finally bouncing back after just terrible second half of the season and all that, to finally winning in Dhabi, and the DNF in Japan, which gave Hamilton the championship lead once again, to now here in Sao Paulo to end the season finale, and almost a great championship fight. If I think if Leclerc didn't have that wheel spin on the starts, we could have probably seen these two really make contact, collide very, very good. And like Fred said during Dhabi a couple of races ago, that they can race, they just got to race each other clean. But when it comes to the world championship, they're not going to race each other clean. But we're now coming up to the final lap. Charles Leclerc works his way through Zheng Sao once again to head to the uphill to take the final lap of what an outstanding Grand Prix this has been. But look at the Drivers' Championship. It's 6 points now between Lewis Hamilton, or between Charles Leclerc and Hamilton, because he lost spots in the pits. TSUNODA back by 25, Antonelli back by 39, and Verstappen back by 81. But look at there. Ferrari would now become world champions for the first time this season, as now they've held on to that lead. They're 94 ahead of Red Bull and 110 ahead of Mercedes. So Ferrari would become world champions. But Charles Leclerc, as he works his way through the TSUNODA Lago, Lewis Hamilton is all over Yuki Tsunoda as he's still trying to get around Tsunoda. But how about this? Haas is going to hang on to P5 by just 3 points. By 3 points. Haas is going to take P5. Aston Martin's going to hold on to P7. Alpine's going to hang on to P8. But they're now 48 and 70 back behind Haas, as Racing Bulls will hold on to 6. But Charles Leclerc working his way through the final few corners. And how about this? Racing Bulls are going to go back-to-back on the podium with Liam Lawson, who's also going to go back-to-back on the podium. Japan last week. How about Sao Paulo? But Charles Leclerc works his way through Chung-Sao and through the uphill section, coming through turn 15. What a season it's been for Ferrari and Charles Leclerc as he works his way down the main straight. Charles Leclerc ends the season, and Charles Leclerc wins the Sao Paulo Grand Prix and is world champion as he slides and hits the wall. What a season! Charles Leclerc, world champion in 2025. He ends it in some style and a dominant performance. Leclerc, champion of the world. Antonelli takes second, Lawson third, Stroll, Tsunoda, Hamilton only matches P6, Behrman 7th, Colapinto, Ocon, Fernando Alonso, your top 10. Verstappen finishes 13th, and McLaren outside the points with Norris 20th. But Charles Leclerc is now world champion for the first time this season. What a season it's been for Ferrari and for Ferrari. And that concludes this year's Formula One World Championship. We're going to enjoy your at least winter. We'll be back when Formula One will head back to Canada for round 1 in December. Goodbye, everyone, and enjoy your winter.